In today's tutorial, we're learning 5 creative ways to show SWOT analysis on the slides. And each one really has its own use case, so you can really pick and choose whichever one fits your audience or your style of presenting best. Now, if you want to follow along, these are the simple color codes that I've used for my presentation, and I've kept this style very minimal. If you're interested in minimal styles or just general presentation templates that you could use for your project or business, feel free to check out the templates on my Patreon. I'll link them in the description below. And for the first one, we're starting with a modern, simple quadrant style SWOT analysis, where you can add quite a lot of content to your slide. Let's start from a blank slide, and for the first one, we're going to start with a circle. So select the circle and drag it on the screen. We're going to position it in the middle of the slide. And now we're going to add a rectangle. And the rectangle we drag so it's larger than the circle. And we're going to position it exactly in the middle. Select the circle, hold shift and select the rectangle. Go to shape format, merge shapes, and we're going to choose subtract to create half a circle. We want to do that once more, so go to a rectangle again, drag it across the screen, position it in the center, hold the circle, click shift, hold shift and select the rectangle, and subtract once more to give us a perfect quarter of a circle. Let's remove the outline for now, we don't need that. You can create a copy, Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V, or you can use the shortcut where you select Ctrl and Shift, you hold the keys, and then you just drag them apart to create a copy. Do that a few more times until we have the entire circle. So we just rotate them and then position them nicely next to each other. That gives us a full circle, and that's what we want. Now we have 4 quadrants, so we're going to drag them slightly apart. And then I'm going to position this as well. So drag it down and one tick to the side. You can group them together and then scale them all at once, so you don't distort any of the aspect ratios in between. Maybe just a little bit bigger. And now let's ungroup them again so we have separate parts. Now let's change some of the colors of the slides. We're going to right click format background. And for the background, let's give it this off-white color fill. That's just a little bit easier on the eye. Select the top left and the bottom right. And this one we're going to give it the dark color fill. So it's not entirely black, it's a little bit dark gray. That's always a bit nicer, I think. It's not that hard. Top right and bottom left, we're going to give this the gray fill. Next, we want to add a circle, so we're going to drag a circle again and position it in the middle. We want to send this to the back, and then of course we want to remove the outline and make this the same color as the background. So we're going for that off-white color fill. We'll see in a second why that will help. Go to shapes, and now let's insert the boxes. So for that we want a rounded rectangle. So go for the rounded rectangle and drag one on the screen. We're going to position it so that it meets the left side of 1/4 and the bottom. So let's position it right here. Remove the outline, we don't need that. And then we're going to right click and send it to the background. Maybe reduce the roundness, it doesn't have to be too round. And then we're going to give it the same color fill as the part of the circle. I think this was one that we took. So that looks quite nice already. Let's hold Ctrl and Shift and drag to create a copy. Send it to the back and give it that same color fill. Let's do that 2 more times. Send to back. And then here we have the last one. Send to back. So this already gives us quite a nice quadrant. So for the SWOT analysis, we want to split it in 4 parts. And now we have 2 dark parts on the top left, bottom right. And then 2 lighter parts, bottom left and top right. So now let's fill it in with some content. We go to the Insert tab, Icons. And we're going to use the standard icon library from PowerPoint. So let's do strength. You won't find icons for all of them, but I think this one, strength, the arm, is quite a good one. For weakness, I think we won't find it, so let's look for something protection or shield. And the shield will do quite well. And then let's look for a target. Target is always opportunities related or linked. And maybe this one, it looks like a target from something you shoot at. So let's do that for threats or weaknesses. We've added them to the slide. Now let's grab them and put them to the side. Make them just a bit smaller maybe. And let's position them so we can see which one belongs where. Strengths, this one, of course, we want to make it that a little bit wider, and we're going to position it in the top left quadrant. The weaknesses, let's put it here. The opportunities goes below. Let's give that same white color, and then the threats goes right here. Select those two, and let's give them the same dark color. It's just a little thing, but I think it makes the design look nicer overall. Go to text boxes, and now let's drag in a text box. Let's do the first one, maybe top right, so strengths. For the font, we're going to use Avenir Next. Let's make it white, increase the font size, and let's use all uppercase letters. Maybe a bit bolder font. See if we can use the bold. That's going to be too much. Let's try a demi-bold, and maybe a bit smaller. There we go, position it to the left. And now we're going to add some dummy text to the slide. Drag a text box and add some dummy text to the slide. We're going to make it smaller, font size 12 maybe, make it white, and then position both items until you're happy with the result. We're going to select both items and drag them to the right. Here we want to arrange a line to the right, so they align all on the right side. And then also change the alignment within the text box to the right. Give them the darker color, and then change it to weaknesses. And then let's create duplicates of this text and drag them downwards. Of course, we have to change the colors. So this one becomes dark and this one becomes light or white almost. Let's make this the same. And then let's make it so that strengths, weaknesses, then this one is opportunities, and this one becomes threats. You can position them however you like. I'm just taking an example here. Now let's preview on what we have. And this already gives us quite a nice SWOT analysis on a slide with clear 4 quadrants on the slide. And you can clearly see that the strengths and the opportunities are like the positives, and then threats and weaknesses are in a different color. They're more the negative sides, or what we can work on mostly. So we clearly group them together visually on the slide. Of course, you can apply any color that you like or just add your brand colors here. Moving on to the second one, which is more of a pillar style SWOT analysis. And in this one, you can really see that we focus on the different pillars in a SWOT analysis, also animated, where you can really compare them next to each other. So if you want to make a comparison between one of the steps, this is a pretty good format to show a SWOT analysis. And for the second example, we're going to start from a blank slide. So create a new one, remove all the content, and we're going to add some rectangles to the slide. Rectangle, remove the outline, make it dark, hold Ctrl Shift to make a copy, and connect them nicely against each other. There we go, and do that once more, so we have 4 copies. We're going to group those together, and then expand the selection until we meet the border of the slide. Ungroup, so we have 4 different parts. Let's select number 2 and number 4, and give them a white or a lighter color. Let's maybe use the same one. Let's see which one we used here. That one. So let's do the same here, so we have some consistency in the slides. Oops, this one it was. Now this one we're not going to overcomplicate, so let's select the icons that we have already selected here. Just the icons, Ctrl C, and let's paste them on this slide. Let's select the strength icon and position it on the left of the slide. Moving on to the weakness one, position it on the second part. O for opportunities is next, so opportunities, position it there. And then the last one, we're going to select the threats and position it in the center. They're quite small, so I'm going to select them all, hold Ctrl Shift, and then drag them so they all equally scale upwards. And it's nice because they scale from the center. So once you've positioned them, they will remain in the same position and just scale from the center. That's quite a nice trick to know. Let's also copy the text boxes and position them here. I'm going to center them and place them in the middle of the box here. Hold Shift and click to deselect one, and then you can just place the other one at the right spot. Click Shift and then go for the third one. So it's quite a nice, easy way to copy some elements to the slides. Select them all, and now if you want to make sure they're aligned, go to Align and then Align to Middle, and this way they're all on the same line. I think for this slide, the title can be a bit smaller because we already work with quite nice blocks and large blocks on the slide. And let's also copy the text boxes here, reduce the size. Let's make them the same size as the box and then hold Ctrl Shift to reduce them from both sides. Now they're aligned to the left. You can also apply a align to the center. It kind of depends on what sort of content that you have. You could do bullet points, you can do anything in this format. But this SWOT analysis or this style allows for quite a lot of text on the slide. So if you have a lot of text, this is a pretty good one. Let's create some copies and then select those two and give them the darkest font. Select everything, and now we can notice that this space that we have on top and the one at the bottom is not exactly the same. So I'm going to shift it down just a little bit so that everything is positioned nicely on the slide. Now, as a little extra, we can also animate this slide. So let's scroll out, select everything from the first part, group them together, do the same for the second. So select everything and Ctrl G. So we have 4 parts to work with. Select first, hold Shift and select the others. Go to animations, and now we can choose if we want to choose fly in. We can do it from the bottom. We can also do it from the right. That is all possible. I'm going to do it from the bottom this time. Animation pane, and let's adjust the timings a little bit. Let's do a smooth end. Duration can be 1 second. Maybe let's do a custom one, 1.5 seconds. And the timings are correct, so this one is on click, but the other ones are with previous. And then let's give them a short delay so they kind of waterfall in. First one happens on the click. Second one, we can give that a little bit of a delay to 0.3, let's say. The next one we then do 0.6, and the last one we do 0.9. And of course I've messed up the order, so this one has to be weakness, opportunities, and the last one threats. Of course we're working with dummy content, so that doesn't really matter, but let's see what that gives. And as soon as we now click from the blank slide, we can see that all of the strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats fly in nicely on the screen. So it's a kind of nice effect that you can apply for a SWOT analysis. Moving on to the third one, which is the circle-inspired SWOT analysis. If your presentation contains a lot of circles, this could be a very good fit to you. It's not only used in a more playful way, but it can also be used in corporate slides. So it has this minimal, slick design that can be used. And for the third one, we're going to start from a blank slide again. So new slide, remove all the content. And also for this one, we're going to start from a circle. So drag a circle on the screen, remove the outline, make it darker. And we're going to create a copy with a white outline and no fill. Position that one on top, hold Ctrl Shift, and make it just a little bit smaller so we have a nice border on that circle. Let's select the background shape, right click, format, and we're going to give this one a shadow, just a very subtle shadow, a drop shadow, where we reduce transparency and maybe increase the blur a little bit. So it's not much, but it's a little touch that we want to add to our slides. Let's group those together, and now you can scale them up or down as you like. Make them a bit smaller and hold Ctrl Shift to create a copy. Do that once more to the bottom and to the right. So this way we have 4 elements. You can group them together, arrange, align to center, align to middle. That way it's positioned in the center of the slide, and then ungroup again. Next, I'm going to bring this one to the front, and let's change some of the colors. So let's keep the top left and bottom right in the darkest one, and then let's go for the other 2. Let's fill them with a lighter color. So let's change the color here to the lighter version. You have to, because we group them together, you kind of have to double click to select the background circle. Otherwise you're going to color the outline circle in as well. Voila. Next, we're going to select the icons from the first slide, only the icons, and position them here. Let's increase them in size so they nicely match these circles. Do the same technique, so hold the Shift key, Shift and click to deselect one of the objects until we position them all at the correct space. And that already looks quite nice, so let's copy some of the content here. Let's start with strengths. We're going to make that dark, align it to the right, and then also arrange, align all the selections to the right as well. So we can position them here. Maybe we don't need that much text for all of them. There we go. Let's position it here, hold Control and drag it downwards to create the second version. Select all of them and drag them to the right. And of course, align selections to the left, and then also align the text to the left. Space them out nicely so we have equal spacing here as well as to the right. And then let's do the same on the left side so that everything is positioned nicely and balanced. Let's change some of the text though. This becomes weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And I think the titles are a bit too large, so I'm just going to reduce them by 1. And that looks a bit easier on the eye, I would say. Maybe the text boxes, spread them out a bit more. And that way we have quite a nice balanced SWOT analysis. It's not bad, but I think there's one thing missing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate the circle here. I'm going to make it white. And then that inner circle, let's do something else with it. Let's make that darker. And then group it, scale it downwards. And let's see if we position that in the middle. This looks quite good, I think. If we remove it, something else is missing here in the middle. So I think if we add that little touch, it gives more of a flower effect. And visually, it just looks a bit better if you ask me. And also this one we can animate. So to make it easier, I'm going to group some things together. So the text I'm going to group together with the circle and the icon. So everything related to strengths is going together in one group. Same for weaknesses. So you can just select and drag. Make sure to select everything, opportunities and threats. So we have 4 grouped items to work with, and in that circle in the middle, let's see what we can do with that at the end. So strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, animations, fly in. Let's open the animation pane and let's see. In group 45, I don't know where the numbers come from. It's because all of the items are probably added up into a number. You can see the selection here, and that is strengths. So strengths, it's okay if we want that on the group, on the click, so that is fine. The timing is quite fast, so I'm going to change it for all of them to 1 second. Second one, weaknesses, that is correct. That can happen with previous, with a delay of 0.5. Third one, that is opportunities, that is correct. Let's do that with previous, delay of 1. And then the last group, threats, a delay of 1.5. Select them all and give them a smooth ending. That will always help a little bit. And then this centerpiece, let's see what we can do. Probably we can have it zoom. A zoom effect would be nice. There, I think basic zoom is quite a cool effect that we could use. And let's do that with previous. And then we have the delay. Last delay was 1.5. So I'm going to give it a 1.8. And let's see what we have. So starting from a blank slide, and as soon as you click, you get the first animations flying in and then the end bubble. So you create some sort of a flower effect. And I think it looks not too bad. You can also choose the direction of which it flies in. I think from the bottom worked quite well now. This brings us to the fourth one, which is the puzzle-inspired SWOT analysis. And here we can see that we use the 4 quadrants, but the benefit is that you can highlight one of the points and really animate it a little bit to convince your audience about your message. So if you want to highlight one of the points, you can do that easily with this one. And I'm going to start with a new slide, and we're going to create something similar to the previous one, but not exactly. So what we're going to do, start with insert, shapes, and we're going for the shape that has 3 squared angles and 1 rounded corner. So the rectangle with 1 single corner around it. Position it in the center, not exactly in the center, but position it on the center lines. And then hold the Control Shift key and drag to create copies. So we have a nice quadrant of 4 pieces. We're going to remove the outline, and let's already give it the correct color so that it's easy to follow along. Make this one white or lighter. Now we're going to add some circles to the slide. And we're going to place them on the overlapping parts so we get the puzzle piece effect. And I'm going to put 1 or 2 to the sides because we'll need them afterwards. Select the first quadrant and the puzzle piece, and we're going to merge them together. Here we need the extra creation that we have, because for this shape, of course, we select the shape first, hold shift and select the circle, and then go to subtract to create that cutout effect. So we kind of need to do it twice. Select the next shape, hold shift key and select the add-on to create a union effect. Now it's behind, but that will fix itself in a second. Create a copy once more and select this one, hold shift and subtract. The order is important, otherwise you subtract the quadrant from the circle and you get half a circle, so that is not what we want. For the merge, it doesn't matter in which order you do it. Do it once more here. So select this one first, hold shift and subtract, and then 1 or 2 more times, merge, and the last one, here we want to subtract again. So that way we create 4 puzzle pieces that nicely fit into each other. Let's cheat a little bit, ungroup those for a second, and let's copy the text boxes and let's copy them to the next slide. We're going to do the same for the icons. So we're going to select them right here, remove that inner circle, we don't need that, and then position them on the slide. And of course, in the middle of our puzzle pieces. And there we go. Oops, missed that one. And in the center as well. Now this is quite an easy trick, but to animate it, it will look quite nice. So I'm going to group the puzzle pieces together, and then I'm going to duplicate the slide and drag one of the puzzle pieces. We can rotate it and drag it outwards. Drag it just a little bit, drag it upwards. There we go. Maybe that's too close to the edge. Just a little bit more like this. Voila. And if we now add a transition and the morph transition, you can see that the puzzle piece animates itself. So if you want to emphasize one of the parts of the SWOT analysis, this could be a cool way to do it. Let's see that on full screen. So you start off with a pretty normal SWOT analysis, and then if you click, you remove one of the pieces or you take them out to really put emphasis on it. So depending on how your story goes, this could be a cool technique to use. And this brings us to the 5th one, which is the interactive SWOT analysis, on which you can click on any of the items and that will give more context and information. So if you click on the strengths, it will appear that. If you click on the threats, you can discuss those, and you can really customize the way that you go through this presentation. So it's a very fun way if you want to open up the discussion with the audience and get some interaction going in your presentation. And also for the last one, we're starting from a new slide, remove all the content, and I'm going to right click, format background, and start with a darker fill. So make it just a little bit of white. We're going to add some shapes, and the shape I'm going to use is this off-page connector. So it's like sort of a tab that you get to 90-degree angles, and then we have this triangle at the bottom. Position it on the left, and then hold Ctrl and Shift to create some copies. Select all 4, distribute horizontally. I'm going to group them together, and then align to the center, and then ungroup them again. So that way they are equally spaced on the slide. Let's do some shape formatting, remove the outline, and make it dark already. Let's grab one of these circles, the dark one, and position that on the slide. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller and put it in the center of the top of the shape. We're going to hold Ctrl, Shift, drag to create perfect copies. And let's also select the icons. So I'm going to select them like this, put them on the page. We can already make them a white and then drag them. They're a bit too big, so I'm going to reduce them all at once and place it in the center. That's the advantage if you group them or scale them all at once. They will all have the same size. Strength, this one's going to be threats, so the last one. Then we have opportunities here, and weakness as the second one. Now I'm going to copy some of the keywords. So strengths, let's copy that one. Then we don't need to do too much formatting on the text. Center it in the middle, and then also center it here. We can reduce the font. Also here, it doesn't need to be that big. Let's try 15. Drag and create copies for the other 4. There we go. And then adjust them. Weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Now we're going to add a shape, and it's going to be a rounded rectangle entirely. Reduce the roundness of the corners, and then place it on top of the tab that we've created, so they equally align on the left and the right. Then we hold the Ctrl Shift key to make them smaller, but equally from both sides. And we're going to shift this to the back. We're going to make this white, and I'm going to remove the outline as well. We can see that the contrast with the background isn't too much, so I'm going to use one tint darker. Let's see which one will look nice. I think this one, it gives a little bit more contrast to the slide, and we still remain in the same style as the other presentations or the other slides that we've made. I think even we can select the boxes and make them just a bit wider. If we do it all at once, there we go. That will give us some more working room for the tabs to add some content to it. This time I'm going to add some bullet points as a text. So let's add a text box. You can do some bullet points and then also reduce the size and position them nicely on the slide. You can toggle off on or off bullet points here. And if you want to increase or decrease the spacing, so this I think is the standard one, which is quite condensed, you can increase the size or the spacing in between each bullet point right here to 1.5. So that will look a little bit better. And then position them nicely in the middle. Create some copies and don't forget to send them to the back. One more for the threads and send to back. Now this is already quite a nice looking SWOT analysis, again in a different formatting, but also this one we can animate in a pretty spectacular way. And for that I'm going to add 2 more rectangles to the slide. One here on top, so everything meets the border of the tab that we've created. Remove the outline, and I'm going to keep it in red for now so we can easily see what's going to happen. Create one more copy, and I'll make this one yellow from the top of the slide all the way till the bottom, not exactly the bottom of the tabs, but from where we can see that, start seeing that the white appear. So more the curvature here, the angle that we have made. So position it there and then send it to the back. So we have 2 layers. We're going to create different layers on the slide and send them both to the back. Now, because we're going to work with multiple animations or some click animations, I want to label the things correctly. So I'm going to the Home tab and I'm going to the Arrange page and Selection pane. And here I can see all of the items. So what I want to do here is I want to group these together so that we have one button. And I also want to group the strengths or the tab with the word. I'm going to group those together, as well as the tab with the content. So those. You can see that the order starts shifting, but that doesn't matter too much. I'm going to send everything to the back so that we get some more order in place. And these, of course, I want to send it to the front. So that still looks quite okay. Now let's label them. So this one, I'm going to call them S from SWOT and then circle. Second one, it automatically selects. I'm going to do it W circle, so from weaknesses. This one I'm calling O circle from opportunities. And this one, T circle. Strengths tab, we're going to call it S tab. Weaknesses, that group, W tab. Opportunities, I'll call it O tab. And threads, I'm going to call it T tab. That way it's easy to remember for me. And then we do it once more for the content. So this one is S content, W content, O content, and the last one is going to be T content. Now this seems like a bit of an unnecessary step, but you will see in a minute why it will come in quite handy. Especially if we're going to animate them, it will help us out a lot in finding the right clickable animation. 2 items haven't been labeled yet, so these are the yellow and the red rectangle. We'll see now why we use them. So let's open up the animation pane, go to animations, animation pane. This red tab is going to make sure that our tabs appear from behind it. So we want to have the red tab in front. And of course, these circles, we want to have those in front as well. So that if we select the tab, it will appear from behind the red part. So all of those, if we select them and we drag them up, they kind of disappear behind that bar. And that's what we want. We want the same for the yellow, but for these content tabs. So if we drag them up, they should go behind the yellow. So the content tabs, we can send all to the back and they should be at the bottom of your list here. So that If we drag the content bars up, they should disappear behind that yellow bar. And now we go to the animation because we've labeled everything correctly. We've positioned everything correctly. So go to animations, animation pane, and we're going to select the tabs first. The tabs, we want to fly them in from the top, and you can see they appear from behind that red bar. Let's do a smooth end, and let's set it to 1 second. We want the tabs to appear in a click sequence, so we don't want everything at once. That's not very interactive. We want to have it appear on a click sequence. So let's do the first one. So you have to read it like this. You select S tab. You want it to appear on the click of course, that S circle. So let's look for S circle. W tab, you want it to appear on W circle when you click on the weakness circle. O tab, appear on O circle. And T tab, you want it to appear on the T circle, or when clicked on the T circle. This way we have 4 triggers that have been set correctly. Now let's select the content. So Alt Shift to select them all. Fly in. Also from the top. Duration can also be 1 second. And those we want to give a smooth end and start with previous. But now we also want to connect them so that everything starts correctly. So the S content should go behind the S tab. So it starts with the previous one. W content behind the W tab. O content, I'll maybe make it just a little bit larger. O content goes behind O tab. And T content goes behind the T tab. If you want to adjust multiple things at once, you can hold the Control key and select them, or Command key if you're working on a Mac. So I'm going to give them a little bit of a delay, 0.5, so that first the tab drops and then the content will drop. Now, one thing left to do is change the colors here. Go to Shape Format and give them the same color as the background. So that was this one. And now let's preview what we have in presentation mode. So as an opening slide, you have those 4 dots and you can click them and the strength appears and the content. The nice thing is that you don't have to do it in order. So you can jump to the opportunities and have the opportunities drop. You can then look at the weaknesses and have the weaknesses appear, and eventually the threads for the threads to appear on the slide. Content, again, it's easy to modify once you've animated them. So it's a pretty flexible slide, but it gives for that dynamic touch. Now again, if you want to animate them on click again, so if you click again, it will just come out again, but you can also animate them out. And if you want to learn how to do that, I've linked a tutorial for that in the description below. So you can animate it both ways and make it very interactive for your audience. In today's tutorial, we've seen 4 ways to use SWOT analysis. The first one being quite a modern look and feel where you have 4 quadrants on the screen. The second one, moving to an animated SWOT analysis, is where you have 4 pillars on the screen, easy to compare things, strengths, weakness, opportunity, and threats together with each other. The third one being a circle-inspired presentation SWOT analysis, where you can position them across each other and add your details that you want. A fourth one being a puzzle-inspired, but also an animated SWOT analysis, so you can really emphasize one of the parts individually. And the last one, maybe the most fancy one, is one where you can interactively click on certain parts and have them appear in whichever way that you want. So you can discuss them with your audience, you can really create interaction while you're presenting your SWOT analysis. Thanks a lot for watching. If you want to learn more about PowerPoint, please watch the video on the screen right now.